We're on Kuf Aleph Amid Beis, about a third of the way down from the top. Abishol Omer, Afes Ha'iges Hashem Ba'is Yosef. The way Rashi understands it, someone who says the Shem HaMefarish. Tana, Ubegvulin, Ubeloshen Aga. The Gemara says, this is, you have to have one of two factors. It has to be outside of the Beis HaMikdash, meaning the Kehanim would say the Shem HaMefarish in Duchanin, so that was okay, but it means outside of Yerushalayim, or Beloshen Aga, or if it was said in not in Lashon HaKodesh. I'm not sure how that jibes with the fact that we say it's the expression of the Shem HaMefarish. I don't know how you could say Shem HaMefarish in a different language. I'm not sure I understand that. Rashi says, Beloshen Aga filu b'mikdash loy Lashon Aga laz. Loy Lashon Aga laz. She'ena hoiga b'yosef of Lashon HaKodesh alanu el shar liyazim. Some other language. I don't know what that means. Good morning. We're on Puf Aleph Amid Beis by starting the two dots. In the Mishnah we said there are three kings and four Hedyotis who have no chelik in Olam Haba. Tanarabah, Yeravam Sheriba Am. Yeravam was one of the three Malachim. Yeravam was the first one who caused the rift between Malchei Yehuda and Malchei Yisrael. He separated the 10 Shvatim from Malchei David. So Yeravam Sheriva Am, he lowered the status of Am Yisrael. Yeravam Sha'asa Meriba Ba'am, he caused the conflict in the nation. He separated the Malchei Yisrael from Malchei Beis David. He caused a fight, he caused conflict between the Yidden and the Rebbeinu Shalom. He did, as we're going to see, he did terrible Averis. He started a lot of Avodah Zarah. Ben Nevat, his father's name was Nevat. Ben Shenivit v'lo Ra. He was the son of the one who saw and who looked at something but he saw it incorrectly. He looked but he didn't see. Tanahu Nevat, this Nevat, Yeravam was the son of Nevat, who Micha, he was also called Micha, who Sheva ben Bachri, he was also Sheva ben Bachri. This is the same name. Navat, why was he called Navat? Shenivet v'lo Ra. Like we said, he looked and he didn't see. The Gemara is going to explain exactly what that's referring to. It's referring to something specific. Micha, shenismachacha bebinyan, umes, that he was put into the binyan and he died. Oh, I'm sorry, bebinyan. I'm sorry, shenismachacha bebinyan. This is talking about at the time in Mitzrayim, when the Yidden had taken away from them the bricks. So the Mitzrayim, and they weren't able to keep up with their building. So the Mitzrayim took the children, the infants of the Bnei Yisrael, and put them into the wall. So he was one of the children that was put into the wall, but he was taken out and survived. Shmach bebinyan, Zakrashi, Shmach shal Mitzrayim shenistavu bebinyan, shnasnu bebinyan b'mokum levenu. They were placed in the binyan in place of bricks. Moshe complained to Hashem, you told me to go to Apari, and now they're putting the children of the Yidden into the walls. If I would allow these babies to survive, they would all be Rishayim Gemurim. If you want, you get tested. Take out one of them. He took out Micha, and Micha Taka turned out to be a grace of Rasha. He had the son, Yeravam ben Nevat. Umash, to continue with the Gemara, Umash Shmai, but his actual name was Sheva ben Bachri Shmai. Tanaraban, Shloishin Nivtu V'leiro. There are three people who saw, but they didn't see. They saw incorrectly. Elohim, Nevat, the father of Yeravam ben Nevat, Vachi Teifel, it's Tanigne Pari. Nevat Ra Esha Yotze Me'amase. Ra, Nevat saw a fire coming out of his Amma, from his Aver. in a dream. Who savar iu malach? He thought that was an indication that he's going to be a king. But loy Yeravam hu denafik minei. It was an indication his son Yeravam was going to be the king. Achitophel ra tzarasha zarchal elamasa. He saw a tzaras on his aver, and he said, oh, "It means I'm very special." Who savar iu malach? He thought he himself Achitophel was going to be king. But loy Bathsheba bitay, his daughter Bathsheba, she was married to David, and she was the father who denafka minei Shlomo, and Shlomo came out of Bathsheba. So it was a descendant of Achitophel, but not Achitophel himself. So he saw incorrectly. It's Tanigne Paroi de Amr Rabbi Chama Rabbi Chanina Ma'idich Siv Hema Mei Meriva. Says these are the Mei Meriva. Hema Shero. It's Tanigne Paroi Beto. This is the Mei Meriva when Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock and they caused him to be punished, that he wasn't able to go into Eretz Yisrael. This is the fighting or the einish of Meriva of Mayim. That's what the astrologers of Paro saw, and they mistook Rosh Mashiach Yisrael b'Mayim Huleka. They saw that the person who was going to save the Yidden was going to be afflicted by water. Amru kol habein ha'yilad hayarat shlichu. So they said, we'll throw all the boys into the water, so we'll chop a mice before you could save the Yidden. But the reference, what they were really saying was that Moshe Rabbeinu was ultimately going to be punished for his role in the Mei Meriva. So how do we know that Yeravam ben Yevat? Sorry, back to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said there are three kings that have no chelik in Olam Haba. How do we know he has no chelik in Olam Haba? This will be a vera for Beis Yeravam, lahachmid ulahashmid, to be destroyed. Me'al pnei adamba, from the face of the earth. Lahachmid v'olam hazeh, lahashmid olam haba. These two lashonos of being destroyed. One is olam hazeh and one is the olam haba. Am Rabbi Yochanan, ma zacha Yeravam lamalchus. Why was he zeicha to malchus? Neisheichiach Shlomo, because he chastised Shlomo. Why was he punished? Because he did so in public. Now we're going to go on and on about that he set up the two eglei zav. So I'm not sure why the Gemara is asking why was he nenish. He was nenish because it was averis. So I don't know. Maybe b'derech sh'adam roitza leilech melichan. I say this was his first aver that set him on his path. In any case, Sheikhichu berabim shenema v'zeh adav asher heirim yad v'melech Shlomo b'no as hamaloi sagar. This is the thing that Yeravam criticized Melech Shlomo. I'm sorry, he criticized Melech Shlomo. Bana as hamaloi. He built this maloi. He built this palace. Sagar as Peretz Ir David, and he closed up the openings in the wall of Ir David Avnev. David had made holes in the wall of Yerushalayim so that everyone could be Oil Regel. It was hard to get in, so he knocked down the walls to make it accessible. Yeravam criticized Shlomo. Shlomo built a palace for Bathsheba. I'm sorry, not for Bathsheba, for Bas Pari, and that blocked the way, and it seems like she would take a tax. Rashi has a few pshatim, but the pashut pshat is she made a tax to anyone who wanted to go through to get into Yerushalayim had to pay her. So that was Yeravam's criticism of Shlomo, and that was a good thing. He was correct to some extent in the criticism. Well,
allowed it?
Well, I mean, you're saying how could Shlomo have done such a thing?
How could he allow
him to criticize him? It was a musar. He gave a musar. Yeravam was a big Talmud Chacham. The Gemara is going to say he was very knowledgeable in Torah, and he said you did wrong. You want to see Rashi? Godarta oisam v'ata godarta oisam k'dei lasa sangaria on the left side of the page. K'dei sheyishchanu b'sha'arim leida min nichnas k'dei ligvais mas labas pare. He put he put walls. He covered these things in order to be able to get a tax of aspari. My Rebbe, listen, Achrina Shesaga Sha'arim Va'asam Migdal Lebaspari Al Echad Min HaSha'arim. V'kulam Ma'ibn Derech Sham K'tei Shiyum Mitzuyim Ima Lechavda La'avda Kol Avodas Beis HaMelech Karyangaria. Everyone had to go there in order and had to show fealty to her, and that's what Angaria they had. He made everyone bow down to her. He would close the doors to the Azara, and he would keep the keys with him. And he would sleep till 9 o'clock in the morning. And they will wait for him to wake up. You are causing that everyone's going to have to go to your wife, the Bas Parai, to give her money so that she'll go get the keys to open up the Azara. Yeah, that's what happened. What is this that he showed disrespect to the Melech? He lifted his hand against the Melech. He took off his tefillin in front of him, which Rashi says, meaning that when he took off his tefillin, he uncovered his head, and it was not bakavedik to uncover your head in front of the Melech. The chutzpah, the arrogance of Yeravam, that caused them to be taken out of this world. It's gonna everyone's gonna return to David if they go to bring karbanos Yerushalayim. They're gonna go back to Rechavam, who was the descendant of David, and they're gonna go back to him, Farguni, and they're gonna kill me. They're going to go back to Rechavam to be their king. What was the problem? He said if they're going to go back to the Beis HaMikdash, the rule is, the halacha l'Moshe Messina is that only Malchus Beis David is allowed to sit in the Azara. Everyone else must stand. Well, if people will see Rechavam, that he's sitting, and I'm standing, they'll say he's the king, and Yeravam is just a slave. And if I'll sit, they'll say I'm a Moed b'Malchus. They'll kill me. They'll follow him. The Melech took counsel. He made two agolim. He made another two calves, just like they did in the Midbar. He made two calves. Elayim Rav Lechem Malus Yushalayim Hine Elekecha Yisrael Asher Alucha Me'eretz Mitzrayim. He says, you have a replacement. He said Kaviyachol, that these two Agolim, these two Eglei Zav, they're the ones who took you out of Mitzrayim. V'yasam Echad b'Beisel, v'as Echad Nasam b'Don, put one in Beisel and one in Don, and then people went instead of going to Shalayim to be Eilu Regal and to bring the Kabbanis in the Beis HaMikdash, they instead were Oived Avodah Zarah by these Eglei Zav, because he was worried if he joined. I'm not exactly sure. It sounds almost like there was a consideration that maybe he would go do the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. I thought that they must have reached some kind of peace, some detente, that it would have been possible for him to go do the Avodah together with Rechavam. But he was worried about his covet, that if he's going to go there, he'll be subservient, because only the Malchus Beis David could sit down. What does it mean he asked what to do? He took all the wise people and he set them up in a council, and he set them up. He dispersed. He put one Rasha next to each tzaddik. He didn't have a group of Rishayim and a group of tzaddikim. Amlu chasimiu al kol Davidna. He said, will you sign on whatever I do? Will you give the stamp of approval? Amalehin, they said yes. Amalu malka be'ina l'mehevet. He said, can I be the king? Amalehin, they said yes. Kol da'aminu l'cho aviditu. Will you do whatever I say? Amalehin, they said yes. He said, afilu michla avodas kechavim. He said, will you even follow me if I say to be avodas kechavim? Amalei tzaddik. So tzaddik, one of the tzaddikim said, chas v'shalom, chas v'shalom. Of course we won't do that. Amalei Rosh Tzaddik. So since he had them interspersed, the Rosh next to him said, Sakadef the Gabra Ki Yeravim Palchavas Kechavim. Is someone like Yeravim, who we're going to see was a big Talmud Chacham. Is it possible that he really means to be Avidai Kechavim? Elaminsu the Kaboy. He's just testing us to see if we're going to really follow him wherever he says. If we're following his words. And the Gemara says, even Achia Hashilaini also was Achia Hashilaini was one of the Nevi'im, and he also made the mistake of signing on to this proclamation, accepting Yeravim as the king. B'chasam, and he signed. The Yehu Tzaddik Rabbah. Yehu was another king. He was a great tzaddik. He was the one who chased down all the descendants of Achav, who was a descendant of Yeravim, and killed them. Shenemar v'yem Hashem al Yehu Yana Asher Hitivusa Lasas Hayoshev Einei, that you have done what's good in my eyes. Chol Hashem B'lvavi Asisi, everything in my heart you've done. L'beis Achav, to destroy them. B'nei Revim Yesh v'lachal Kisi Yisrael. So therefore you'll have your descendants for 4 generations will be on the throne in Yisrael. Uksev v'yehu lo shama l'lechas b'taras Hashem alekei Yisrael b'chol levavai. He was not careful to follow Taras Hashem. Lo sami al chatas Yeravim asher chtiyas Yisrael. But even this Yehu was a great tzaddik. He still fell into the chatoyim of Yeravim, that which he wasn't Eile Regel, and he made his avodah zarah. My garmale. So what caused Yehu to do this? Amar Abaya, risk karusa l'shfasim, because he said something that caused him, because he said he was going to follow Yeravim, he ended up doing so. Shenemar achad aved habal ma'at, Yehu avdenu harbe. Yehu was trying to catch all of the Rishayim. So he said, I'm gonna be Ovid Baal, which was the Avodah Zarah. I'm gonna be Ovid it even better than Yeravim did. And he got everyone to join in, and then he trapped all of them and he killed all of them. So that was his way of trapping them. But because the words came out of his mouth saying that I'm gonna be Ovid even more than Yeravim, Kachava, that he ended up being Ovid, he fell into the trap of being Ovid, the Avodah Zarah. Rava Amar Chois Meshel Achi Hashilaini Ravita. And Rava says, no, this is what we were saying before, that even Achi Hashilaini, who was a Navi, signed on. So that's why Yehu saw the signature, and that's why he was fooled to do as Yeravim had dictated. D'chsev v'shachta shitim ha'amiko. It says Avodas Kechavim is called Shashatim, that you get people to be Sheichatu Hamiku, and it says about so that Hamiku, he caused this to be even deeper. So what does that mean? And what Ani Moisel Kulam? And I am going to, Rabbi Shalom says, I'm going to punish all of them. Rabbi Yechon, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hene Miku Mishali. These avodah zaros that Yeravim set up, he enforced them even more than my rules of being karbanis. Ani amati kol she'eino oile regel oive b'esei. Anyone who's not oile regel is not doing an essay. V'heim amru kol oile regel yitka b'charv. And he said, Yeravim said, anyone who goes to be Oile Regel, he is going to be killed. So he was Hemiku, he caused it to be deeper, his Avodah Zarah, more than even my mitzvahs. Yeravim left Yushalayim, V'yimtza oisei Achia Hashilaini found him, Hanavi b'derech, who miskasa b'shalma chadash, and he was wearing a new beged. The Gemara is going to explain what this new beged was, but first it says, Tana Mishum Rabbi Yosi, Eisi Mizumenes L'Paranas. This leaving of Yeravim from Yushalayim, this was the first step in the splitting of Klal Yisrael into Malchus Beis David and Malchus Yisrael. He left Yushalayim and he didn't come back. Eis Pekudasam Yavoidu Tana Mishum Rabbi Yosi Eis Mizumenes L'Paranas. At the time of their Pekuda, at the time of their remembering, they're going to be destroyed. Again, that's a reference to Tisha B'Av. That's a time that's mezuman, that's set aside for Puranis. The Eis Ratzon and Isicha, as the Rebbeinu Shalom says, at the time of Eis Ratzon, I'm going to answer you. That was a time that's L'Taiva. I don't know what time it is. Yeah, Rashi doesn't say. That's another pasuk. That's a reference to a time that's set aside for Puranis. That the time that when Yehuda went away from his brothers, and says whenever it says ba'esahi, it means it's an auspicious time, either l'taiva or l'ra. So when Yehuda left his brothers, that's when he had the Ma'isa Dina and you had the Ma'isa with Erva Einon and all and Tamar. That was also a bad time. Then Rechavam went to Shechem because the Gans Kal Yisrael went to Shechem. The Malachai to coronate him. Hanamishum Rabbi Yossi Malcolm Izumul Paranos B'Shechem Eneis Ines Dina B'Shechem Machro Yochav Yosef Shem Nechelchu Malchus Beis David. This was not just an inauspicious time; it was also an inauspicious place. He went to Shechem, which was the place where Dina was captured by Shechem, and the brothers, the Shvatim, sold Yosef into slavery, and that's where Yeravam separated Klal Yisrael into the two Maluchas. Yeravam Yatzim Yishalayim. So back to the original pasuk, Yeravam left Yishalayim. He said, "I'm leaving and I'm not coming back." He left the official citizenship of Yishalayim. Like we said before, He found him and he was wearing a new beged. They were alone in the field. What does it mean he was wearing a new beged? Just like a new beged. Just like a new beged has no flaws, the Torah of Yeravam had no flaws. He was a tremendous Talmid Chacham, whatever he knew everything. He was just like a new beged. He said divrei Torah that no one had ever heard. Mayu shneim levadim basar. Doesn't mean the two of them were alone in the field. They were like the trees, and everyone else, compared to their knowledge of Torah, were like grass. Everything was open to them like a sada. So I could see a whole sada. They were able to see everything in the Torah. Dr. Mara, I'm gonna. The Rebbeinu was talking. He was saying about Yeravam that you're sending away. You're going to not be mekabel or not respect by Reshes Gus, the one who inherited Gus. That's Goliath was from Gus, and David killed Goliath. The Gemara is going to explain what that means. The one who killed the Plishtim, B'Hairish Etchem Gas Tinenu Shluchim Lebanav, the one who that killed the Plishtim and was Meirish for the Bnei Yisrael, Gas, the kingdom of where Goliath came from. Titnenu Shluchim Lebanav, you're going to send away their children, meaning the Balchus based David. But they Achsev L'Achsev L'Malcha Yisrael. You're going to cause L'Malcha based David Atem Mechazvim. You're deceiving or degrading. L'Achtem Acha Malcha Yisrael. If you Tiyunim Saram L'Achsev B'dei Avodas Kechavim Shein Shati Kazav. You're trying to undo Malchus based David. You yourself are going to be undone by the surrounding Avodah Zarah. I'm talking about Papa. Someone who has hana in this world without a bracha, as if he's stealing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and from the Gans Klal Yisrael, because you're taking away the chusim from Klal Yisrael. Shenema, goizel ava v'imay. It's one who steals from his father and mother. V'aymer ein pasha chavar. V'aymer ein pasha. And he says, there's no avera from that which I steal from my father and mother. Chavar hula ish mashchas. He is a close friend to the one who destroys. Vein aviv el HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when it says, goizel ava v'imay, is his father, is his Rebbeinu Shalom. Shenema haloi hu avicha kanecha. Vein imay el Knesset Shenema shema b'ni musa avicha v'al titash Torah imecha. So that's a reference to both. He's a geisel from the Rebbeinu Shalom and from Klal Yisrael. My chaver hu levish maschus. What does it mean? He's close to the man who destroys. Chaver Yeravim ben Nevat. It's a chaver to Yeravim ben Nevat shehischas Yisrael avim shebshamayim, that he destroyed the connection between the Yidden to the Rebbeinu Shalom by encouraging them to be Avodah Avodah Zarah. Vayidach Yeravim es Yisrael me'achrei Hashem. Yeravim enticed the Yidden to go away from Hashem. He caused them to be over on great averis. Amar of Chanan Kishtei Makalas Hamatizes. It's like two sticks that hit each other, and they cause them to go far away. So too, Yeravim caused the Yidden to go far away from the Rebbeinu Shalom. V'dizahav, it says in the pasuk in Chumash. Also ben Teufel Lavan v'chatzeres v'dizahav. Amar the Be'erev Yanei Amar Moshel Negesh Baruch Rebbeinu Shalom B'shvil Kesav Ezav She'aspatel Hani Yisrael Achir Mudai, because of the great amount of kesef that they gave the Yidden after Yamsuf. They got all the zav that came up on the side of the Yamsuf. They became very wealthy. That's what caused them to make the egel of Hazav. Because as we all know, materialism is a very difficult nisayon. It's hard to contend with. Mashal, ein ari dairis unaya mitoich kupa shel teven. If you put a ari in a cage made out of straw, he's not going to fight it because he knows he has what he needs. He'll eat the straw calmly. If you put him in surrounded by basar, he's going to get crazed. He's going to eat the basar, and he's going to go eat people. He's going to go nuts. So the same thing, when you give humans too much money, it makes them like a ari surrounded by meat. They don't know when to stop. I think it's a very valid analogy.
Talking to us today.
Yes, it's very, very timely. Amar Rav Aishia, Adi Yeravim HaYisrael Yoinkim me'egel echad. Until Yeravim, the Yidden were being punished from one egel. Mikan ve'elech mishnayim v'shloisha agalim. They were being punished for the two agalim that Yeravim set up, as well as the egel hazav in the midbar. Amar Yitzchak ein lechal chol paranis paranis shabal la'olam she'ein ba echad me'etzem v'arba b'hachra litra shel egel harishon. It has a very small portion, a 24th of the extra portion that you do when you weigh something in order to sell it. You always have to add a little portion, a 24th of that portion. Every piranus that happened to the Yidden has a slight cause from the Egel Hazav. I'm going to remember your chatas, meaning the chatas of the Egel. He says after 24 dairis, that was used up. That stopped being applied. A great voice went to the Zir, that the time has come that it's already done. You're not going to be punished on it anymore. After this occurred, he never turned off. He set up these avodah zarah. He never returned from his evil ways. My achar, Amar Rabba, achar shetavshu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yeravim bebigdai. V'amal echazabach bani v'ato ben Yishai netayel b'Gan Eden. This is what happens. Rebbeinu Shalom grabbed onto Yeravim, and he said, "You do tshuva, and then I and you and Ben Yishai and Moshe will go together in Gan Eden." He said, "I'm going to give you a great spot. It's going to be you and me and Moshe." Amaloi mi b'rosh. So like a typical Balgaiva, he said, "Listen, you're saying it's going to be me and Moshe. Who's going to be first, me or Moshe?" Ben Yishai Bereisha Yihachi Loibin. If you say Ben Yishai is going to be in front, then I'm not interested. So my son is very taken with a vart. He always tells me this vart. He says, why did he have to ask? It already said, Aniva Atu Ben Yishai. It says, the Rebbe said, I and you and then Ben Yishai. So you see, put your oven first. So what was he even asking for? So he says that because he wanted to hear the Rebbe say it again. He wanted him to say, it's not enough that the Rebbe just said already one time. He wanted to hear him say again that he's going to go before Moshe Rabbeinu. But then once he asked for that, it was already over. So once he asked for that, he showed his guy. Rabbi Shem said, no, but Moshe Rabbeinu comes first. Rabbi Vo have a ruggle to have a k'darsh b'shloisha malachim. Rabbi Vo used to talk about these malachim who have no chelik in Olam Haba. Chalash, he got sick. Kabbalah Adelai Darish. He said, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this. Yerabim was a big Talmud Chacham. Maybe I shouldn't talk about the einish that he's getting. Came into Isvach. Once he recovered. Hadakadarish. He went right back to talking about Yerabim. Amri lekabir zalach Adelai Darish b'hu. So it's Talmid Emes. Didn't you already say you're not going to talk about it anymore? Amar inu mihadra b'hu dana hadabe. He said, did they do tshuva that I should go back and not talk about them? There's a good reason why it's part of the Gemara. It's Mishnah. So it's something that we have to learn. He basically said I was mistaken it was a wrong Kabbalah. I didn't get healed because of that Kabbalah. It must have been for some other reason. Because thinking about it rationally, there's no reason not to talk about it.
You always put them off because someone raised taxes, right?
Because who?
I think
Shlomo?
No, Shlomo's son raised taxes, right?
Okay, I don't know. I don't remember.
That was the reason.
I mean, yeah, but okay, it's fine.
So what should he have done? Just ignore it?
No, but then afterwards he caused all this Avodah Zarah.
Right.
He never said he got punished for splitting. He got punished we said first he got punished for chastising Shlomo in public,
right.
And then he did obviously wrong by setting up these Avodah Zarah because his Gasaruch. It doesn't say they did wrong for splitting off. I guess there were valid reasons. I don't know. Rav Ashi Uki Ashloisha Malachim. He also would darshan about these three Malachim. Amal Machar Niftach B'Chavrin. He said, tomorrow I'm going to start by saying over about these Chaverim of ours, the three Malachim. Also Menashe was one of the three Malachim who lost his Chelik in Olam Haba. He came to him in a dream. He came to him in a Chalam. Amar Chavercha B'Chaviri Da'avucha Karaslan. He says, you're calling me and the Chaver Da'avucha and the other Malachim, you're calling us Chaverim. He says, where do you have to start eating the Hamaitzi? After you make Hamaitzi, which part of the bread do you eat from? He said, I don't know. You don't have the right to call us Chaverim. You don't even know where to make Hamaitzi from. He says, so teach it to me, and tomorrow I'll teach it to the Yailam in Yeshiva. Mishmecha, in your name. Pirka, when we get to the Shir. You're supposed to make Hamaitzi and eat from the place where it's well cooked, well baked. So then he asked him, since you're such a Talmud Chacham, how do you end up being over Avodas Kechavim? He says, if you would have been there, you would have grabbed up the hem of your clothing, of your coat, and ran as fast as you could to be Avodah Zarah. It was a Yetzer Hara that's not understandable once Avodah Zarah, like we learned, the Yetzer Hara was taken away. We can't understand anymore what the Yetzer Hara was. Niftach b'ravusa achav niftach b'ravusa. I'm going to start instead of starting niftach b'chavrin. I'm going to start by saying over machaverim. He said we're going to start with our rebbeim. He said, I was mistaken for calling them chavrin. They were great Talmidei Chachamim who unfortunately went off the derech. Achav achlu shamayim Achav, his name Achav comes from, he's an Ach l'Shamayim. Rashi says Ach means a lashon of Ach, you say something's bad. He caused a lot of tsar to Shemayim. The other Mefarshim say Ach, that he's a brother to Shemayim. And Av l'Avodas Gechavim, and he's a father to Avodas Gechavim. Ach l'Shamayim desiv, Ach l'Tzara, Yoilid Av. Yoilid. Ach l'Tzara Yoilid. So according to Rashi, Yulad. Ach to the one who has a lot of tsaros, the one who gives birth to tsaros. So you see that Ach is a lashon of dismay. Rashi says it's not clear why. Like this is, he says this is something that it didn't need to be said. What do you have to? You don't really need a pasuk. We don't need a pasuk to say that a lashon ach is a lashon of vei, and you don't need a pasuk to show you that ach and av is rachem on his sons. That the smallest thing is the smallest thing that Achav was the descendant of Yeravam. He was a much bigger Rasha. Even the smallest thing that Achav did was like the most chamadik thing that Yeravam did. And why was it called after Yeravam? Because he was the one who started on the wrong way. Their karbanos are like waves on the furrows of a field. He placed the avodah zarah in every single furrow on a field in Eretz Yisrael, and people bow down to it. How do we know, after all this, how do we know that Yeravam ben Nevat doesn't go to Olam Haba? Not going to Olam Haba is a major thing. Kol Yisrael yesh lam chelik. So you have to have a specific raya that it's so. Karti la'achav mashtim bekir. I'm going to cut off Achav mashtim bekir. Rashi says mashtim bekir is a lashon of Talmud Chacham. Meshes bekiris liba. He had Torah, and it's written on the walls of his heart. V'atzer v'azav v'Yisrael. Atzer v'olam hazeh, v'azav v'olam haba. Atzer and azav, the shyness of downtrodden, of evil. So he was both in olam hazeh and in olam haba. Amr Rabbi Ma zacha Imri l'malchus. Why was Imri zacha l'malchus? He was the father, I think, of Achav. Nesha hoisav krach echad b'Yisrael. He added one town to Eretz Yisrael. Shenema v'yikan es hahar shamran be'esh shamar b'krachim kesef b'kikarim kesef. He bought this city with kikarim kesef. Even as Sahar, he built the mountain. V'yikra Hashem ha'ir asher bana Hashem shemer ad Adonai Yahar Shomer. He called it after Adonai Yahar, the master of the mountain, Shomer. He called it after Shemer. He called it Shomer. Amar B'Yechoneh Ma Zacha Achav L'Malchus Kafei Shana. What was Zacha to 22 years of ruling? Neshakiv Esat Torah. He's Mechav the Torah. Shenitna B'Chaf Beis Isis. It was given with 22 Isis. Shenema V'Yishach Malachim El Achav Melech Yisrael Le'ira. He sent messengers to Achav Melech Yisrael. Yom L'Koyamar Ben Hadad. This was a king that was planning to attack the Bnei Yisrael. This Ben Hadad said to Achav, "You have to give me." Was this Yeravam or Yeravam or Achav? I think it's Achav. Yeah. You have to give me all your kesef and zav. You have to give me your children. I'm going to send my shliach to you. We're going to search through your houses. They're going to take everything, all your most precious things. They're going to take it in their hands, and they take it to me. He said everything I could do up till the last thing. He said the most precious thing. My mechmar einecha lav sefer Torah is that l'chayra the one thing that even though Acha was a tremendous Rasha, he wasn't willing to give up the Sefer Torah. So maybe he didn't want to give his Avodah Chavim. So let's talk about that. Let's say it said the Kol Haskenim, and Olam said that he should not give it up. And in L'chayra, it can't be that the Skenim L'chayra were still tzaddikim. So maybe they were elderly people who were taka not Skenim, they were not Tamidei Chachamim. Miloi Ksiv, Vayashar Adav b'einei Avshalom v'Askenim u'b'einei Kol Ziknei Yisrael. It says the Gabi Avshalom, when he was doing one of his rishis, that the Ziknei Yisrael was masking Amr Yosef Sabid Avasah, that they were evil people. So the Afshal delay have it behind Tzadiki. It's impossible if you say Kol that there weren't some Tzadikim. Okay, we'll stop over here.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.